Are you surprised that everything's hunky-dory and the Patriots are back in with Brady and Belichick together again, Ian?
I would say overall, no. As I watched them during the course of the season, Rich, I did think it was a relatively weak team by their standards, a thin roster, and you look at some of the losses they had, particularly on the road. Brady did look a little older. Edelman looked a little slower. Gronk, of course, looked beaten to hell half the time, and their defense wasn't very good. So, but at the end of my book, I wrote that after last year and the way that ended with the Malcolm Butler benching in the Super Bowl and the way some players responded after that in the offseason, and that Belichick had earned the benefit of the doubt that he would sort of win back this team and put them back in this position. So in that context, no. I would just say just watching the team like I did this year, either covering games or just from afar, it did not look like a Super Bowl team. You just can't be surprised at anything Belichick and Brady do.
I know, and then they blew the doors off of the so-called most complete team in the Chargers, and then beat Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game. I'm just wondering if we've ever seen we've seen great coach-quarterback combinations. We've seen great coach-player combinations or manager-player combinations, Ian. But in terms of creating an environment and a scheme to win a particular game, that day's game, and the person who is the star player to execute the game plan, I don't think we've ever seen anything like Brady Belichick. I'm wondering what you would say to something like that.
I agree with that. I think it's the greatest partnership I've ever seen. I'm 54 years old. It's the greatest partnership I've ever seen in American sports. And just particularly given, as you know, the way the league is set up to prevent dynasties from happening, right? The schedule, the draft, free agency, the cap, everything is designed to prevent them from doing exactly what they've done since 2001. It's just amazing. Imagine being a Jets fan and just thinking of how long this has lasted, and they probably have a few more years left in them, which is just hard to believe that you're trying to get going with Sam Darnold as your franchise quarterback, and this could extend out another 3 years. So it's going to eat into that period. But no, I've never seen anything like it. And I covered the Yankee dynasty with Jeter and Mariano and Torre, and I think this one tops it by far. And I think that relationship, it unraveled temporarily last year, Belichick and Brady. But when you consider they've been working together every day under immense pressure, season after season for 19 years, for them to have only that one fracture that became public, that's pretty damn good.
And, Ian O'Connor here on the Rich Eisen Show. I said yesterday, and I gave out top 10 storylines for Super Bowl 53 that's going to be discussed by all of us in the media next week. I had the Kraft legacy up there as well. This is the 10th Super Bowl for the Kraft family owning the Patriots. And I'm wondering what you might know of Kraft's role. And as you said, that Brady-Belichick relationship temporarily unraveling based on, again, Seth Wickersham's latest piece, which I'm assuming you took in on Jimmy Haslam and his style of management and how he would listen to everybody and he would it was like a constant state of entropy as opposed to Kraft. I'm wondering what you could tell me about Kraft's role in keeping this all together, best you can tell.
Well, first off, Rich, I think it's important to note that Kraft deserves a lot of credit over the years for managing his relationship with Belichick. I think there are a lot of owners in the NFL who could not have put up with Bill's daily quirks for as long as Kraft has, just to sort of manage that difficult personality at times. You look at Jerry Jones and Jimmy Johnson, they could have won more Super Bowls together, but Jones couldn't deal with Johnson and vice versa, and that ended way too soon. They could have been Belichick and Brady years ago. So you give Kraft credit on that front. I think what happened last year, Kraft and Brady have a very warm and affectionate relationship. And in some ways, at times, it's been Tom and Robert versus Bill. That came about a little bit last year. They live right near each other, Kraft and Brady. They're close friends, and that's the transformational relationship in the organization. Brady, Belichick, and Kraft, Belichick, those relationships have always been transactional. But Kraft did make it clear to Belichick last year that Tom Brady would retire a Patriot. He was not going to be traded, period, end of story, whether that was he wanted to play until age 44, 45, 46, whatever it was going to be, that he would retire a Patriot, and then Belichick acted off of that information. So I think overall they all had to survive that one very difficult period in time. They did survive it, maybe barely, and now they're back to a great functional working place and back to being the greatest dynasty ever.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.